Well, the days of awe are over. Yom Kippur yesterday, and the Jews went through their rituals of saying their prayers and their Al Chet prayers, and the non-religious Jews swung their chickens. So now we come to God's unique answer. Both Jew and non-Jew realise that there is a need to solve the sin question. When God created man and woman sinless in the Garden of Eden, Adam's sin brought into the bloodline of all mankind an infection known as rebellion or self-will or sin. Different names, same thing. Rebellion, self-will or sin. The Apostle Paul explained this in his masterpiece, in his world-changing letter to the Romans. I'm just going to read a selection from Romans 5. Romans 5 and verse 12. Therefore, as sin came into the world through one man, and death as a result of sin, so death spread to all men. And then in verse 18, one man's act of righteousness leads to acquittal. Acquittal, that means saying you're not guilty. And right standing with God and life for all men. And then verse 19, for just as by one man's disobedience so many were constituted sinners, so by one man's obedience many will be constituted righteous. The Jews struggle to avoid this truth through their prayers and sacrifices. They ignore the fact that a Jew called Saul of Tarsus was spoken to directly by Christ as he rode his horse from Jerusalem to Damascus. He had with him the necessary paperwork, the authority to have Christian believers thrown into jail and killed. He had a powerful encounter with Christ, who spoke to him. And this powerful encounter left him blind and humbled. But God directed another disciple who believed in him, who believed in Christ, directed Ananias to heal Paul and to instruct him. Now Paul, this same Jew, Saul became Paul, this same Jew wrote so much of the New Testament, including, this might be news to you, including co-authoring the amazing letter to Jewish Christians, which we call Hebrews. Paul, Barnabas, Apollos and his wife Priscilla together explain the superiority of the new covenant to an intended audience of religious Jews who were sincerely seeking the truth. They showed how the priesthood had changed from the old Levitical priesthood to the order of Melchizedek. Now, if you study through chapter 7 of Hebrews, you'll find that, with Jesus as the new high priest. So instead of the blood of animals, including red heifers, being taken into the Holy of Holies on earth once a year on Yom Kippur and Day of Atonement, Christ took his own blood and put it on the mercy seat in the Holy of Holies in heaven. He did it once. And in the book of Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 9, it says this in verses 11 to 14. I'll just pick from there. The text is below the video. At the appointed time, Christ appeared as high priest of a better covenant, went once and for all into the Holy of Holies, not by virtue of the blood of goats and calves, but taking his own blood. Because if the sprinkling of defiled persons with the blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of a burnt heifer was sufficient for the purification of the body, how much more shall the blood of Christ purify our consciences so that we don't have this struggle? Well, we did that wrong. Our consciences are purified and we can leave behind the lifeless observances. That's how the Apostle Paul spoke about the continuing sacrifices in the temple. Lifeless observances. The blood of Jesus is unique. He offered his own blood. Now, after many years of searching or researching, an American archaeologist, Ron Wyatt, in 1982, on January the 6th, found the actual location of the Ark of the Covenant. He searched for decades, and in 82 he found it. He discovered the Ark of the Covenant, which had been lost for centuries. And on the Ark of the Covenant, on the mercy seat, there was blood, bloodstains, dried blood. He had it reconstituted, mixed with water, and the scientists did this. And normal human blood contains 46 chromosomes. Those are bits of protein. 23 from the male sperm and 23 from the female egg. Now, he led this team, and they got this sample, and the amazing analysis of the blood showed that it only contained 24 chromosomes. 23 came from Mary, obviously, and only one paternal chromosome, a Y chromosome, the gender chromosome, came from the male side. And that male side, of course, was God the Father. And so 24 chromosomes instead of 46. Ron Wyatt had discovered and had analysed Messiah's blood, God's blood. This discovery and blood analysis has been thoroughly verified. You can check it out at Wyatt Archaeology online. Jesus got his blood from his Father. And when he shed his blood on the cross, it was the Father's blood, God's blood, that got it from the Father, was in the Son, that seeped onto the ground. And that's what Ron Wyatt discovered and analysed. God's blood, his very own blood, through the veins of Christ, on the ground, off when he was on the cross, shed it on the ground, and that was God's unique answer, the sacrifice and remedy for sin. I find that absolutely wonderful. And as a scientist, to know that the blood of Christ has actually been found and analysed back in 1982, it's absolutely marvellous to know that. We trust in the unique remedy for sin, God's blood.